You have watched VAR stop a game. You have watched everyone stand around waiting. You have watched a goal get cancelled 2 minutes after it was scored, and you have absolutely no idea what is actually happening in that room. Neither do most people explaining it on TV. By the end of this video, you will understand VAR better than the commentator, better than the pundit, and better than that person next to you who keeps confidently explaining it wrong. Let us start with what VAR actually is. VAR stands for Video Assistant Referee. It is not a machine. It is not an AI making decisions. It is a human referee sitting in a room in Dallas watching screens. A real person making human judgments, just with better cameras than the one on the pitch. That room in Dallas is called the Video Operation Room. Inside it, the VAR has access to something the referee on the pitch does not. Every single camera angle at the same time. Broadcast cameras, specialist tracking cameras, up to 30 separate feeds, all running simultaneously. The referee on the pitch sees one moment from one angle. The VAR sees the same moment from 30. But here is the part nobody explains. VAR cannot just jump in whenever it wants. There are only 4 situations where VAR is allowed to act. Goals, penalty decisions, direct red cards, and mistaken identity. That is it. 4. Nothing else. VAR cannot check a bad tackle in the middle of the pitch. VAR cannot check a handball that does not lead to a goal. VAR cannot check whether a throw-in went to the right team. If it is not one of those 4 things, VAR does not exist. And even inside those 4 categories, there is a rule that most people do not know. VAR can only act if there is a clear and obvious error, not a possible error, not a debatable error, a clear and obvious one. That is why VAR sometimes does not act on decisions that look wrong. If the on-field referee made a judgment call and it was close, VAR is not allowed to overrule it. The referee has to be clearly, obviously wrong. This is where most of the arguments come from. Because clear and obvious means different things to different people. Now here is where 2026 is completely different from every World Cup before it. The ball, the Adidas Trionder. The official match ball of this World Cup has a sensor at its center. That sensor measures the ball's movement 500 times every second. Every touch, every kick, every deflection is tracked to a few thousandths of a second. That data goes directly to the VAR room in real time. This means VAR now knows the exact millisecond the ball was touched. Not approximately, exactly. And then there are the tracking cameras. 16 cameras mounted under the roof of every stadium. Not broadcast cameras, specialist tracking cameras. They scan every player on the pitch and build a live 3D model of every single body. Every limb, every shoulder, every toe. That 3D model is what you see on screen when an offside decision is reviewed. Those are not graphics someone drew. That is an AI rebuilding every player's body from 16 camera angles simultaneously. For offside, the system can now detect a difference of 10 centimeters, the length of a finger, at full speed, in real time. In previous World Cups, assistant referees had to keep their flags down and wait for VAR to check. Players kept running, kept tackling on a play that was already technically dead. Not anymore. Now the system sends an audio alert directly into the assistant referee's earpiece the moment it detects an offside position. Instantly, the flag goes up immediately. The play stops. No more wasted attacks on dead moves. But here is something even fewer people know. The referees on the pitch is still in charge of everything. VAR cannot change a decision on its own. It can only recommend. The referee must officially request a review for anything to change. And after watching the footage, the referee makes the final call. The screen on the touchline that referees walk to. That is not VAR forcing a decision. That is the referee choosing to look at new information and then deciding for themselves. VAR is advice. The referee is still the authority. Now, what is new in 2026 that has never existed at a World Cup before? Three things. First, corner kicks. VAR can now check if a corner was awarded incorrectly, but only if it can be done instantly. No long delays for corners. Second yellow cards. If a player receives a second yellow that VAR believes was clearly wrong, it can now be reviewed and rescinded. Third, referee body cameras. For the first time ever, every referee at this World Cup is wearing a small camera on their headset. You can now see what the referee actually saw at the moment of a decision. Not the broadcast angle, the referee's own eyes. That footage is being used to explain decisions to fans inside the stadium. After a review, the referee can now announce the outcome to the crowd through the stadium speaker system. No more standing around confused, wondering what just happened. And here are the three things people consistently get wrong about VR. Misconception 1. VR is there to get every decision right. It is not. VAR is there to correct clear and obvious errors only. 50-50 calls stay with the on-field referee, always. Misconception 2. VAR makes the game fairer by removing the human element. It does not. There are still humans in the VAR room making judgment calls about whether something is clear and obvious, about whether a handball was deliberate. Human judgment never left. It just moved to a different room. Misconception 3. The long delays are VAR being thorough. Sometimes they are. And sometimes the system had the answer in seconds, but protocol requires the on-field referee to walk to the screen and watch it themselves before any change can be made. The delay is not always the technology. Sometimes it is the process. One final thing. The most controversial VAR decision at this World Cup so far came in Iran versus Belgium. Mehdi Tarmi scored. VAR reviewed it for offside. The goal was cancelled. It was his backside that was over the line by centimetres. His backside. That is 10 centimetres of human body at full speed deciding a World Cup match. The technology was accurate. The decision was correct. And it was still infuriating to watch. That is VAR. Correct, controversial, and completely misunderstood. All at the same time. Now you understand it. Better than almost everyone watching. The game has not changed. The way it is officiated has. You're welcome.